When the heat starts becoming unbearable and we want to find a way to cool ourselves while having some fun, what better option is there than going to a water park? If you're an enjoyer of thrilling rides, there's no excuse to skip the water slides. While these rides can provide us with a sense of adventure, this excitement may turn into a frightening sensation once you realize your safety is becoming doubtful. Today, we bring you a list showing 30 dangerous water slide accidents. Number 1. Boy got launched from a water slide. This exhibition is called Emerald Plunge, and the name kind of foretells what happened to this boy who was enjoying his ride until the trajectory of his path was changed, and he was thrown off while going at a very high speed. Considering all the inertia, his body was tossed on the ground, and he was lucky that he didn't slide too far over the ground, or else his injuries would have been much more serious. Considering that this incident took place just a few short hours after the exhibition was opened, the boy's parents realized that this wasn't the kid's fault, and that they should put up a lawsuit to make sure no one else gets hurt in this way.
I couldn't get to him fast enough. I wanted to fly.
Number 2. A malfunction throws over 40 people into the air. These people definitely enjoyed the cool water and the slight movement that the wave pool provided. However, the gentleness of this movement turned into quite a different sensation in just a few seconds. This incident happened in a Chinese water park when the machine making the waves malfunctioned. There wouldn't have been an issue if it had just stopped producing waves, but instead, it sent out one that was 10 feet or 3 meters tall. Considering that it happened out of nowhere, people had no time to react, and over 40 of those who were enjoying their time here got thrown out of the pool and were left injured. Even those who were standing around the pool were at risk, considering the vast amount of water and actual human bodies that were flying out of it. Number 3. A man falls off a water slide. If one were to pick, there couldn't have been a worse place for a water slide accident.
Oh!
This guy was going at a high speed down a water slide when his body began moving left and right uncontrollably. After a curve in the slide, he gains speed and even realizes that something is about to happen, considering that he had actually tried to use his hands and slow down. Since he failed to do so at the next curve, he was tossed up and thrown out of the slide onto the rocky ground that awaited him below. Number 4. Late reaction. To this woman, the water slide must have felt quite cozy, considering that she didn't even move for the whole time. Apparently, it didn't occur to her that even after she was flung through the air and going towards the surface of the water, she should try and correct her posture. Instead, she goes fully extended and almost parallel to the water's surface. She hits it and regrets the whole experience. Can you imagine the sound of that? Even from the reaction of everyone around, we can clearly see that the impact was quite a forceful one. Number 5. A water slide that had to be shut down. What was planned to be the world's tallest water slide ended up being closed after it caused a serious incident. If you're wondering how tall that would be, it is a 168-foot or over 50-meter tall slide. The ride that started out as a fun adventure turned into a horrific disaster that even included a casualty. A young boy, who was just 10 years old, was on a raft with his family and 2 women. As we later found out, the boy sustained a serious neck injury during this ride, and the question of adherence to proper safety measures was posed. This water slide, aptly named Insane, turned out to be one of the deadliest rides in the world, which is why the decision has been made to demolish it. Number 6. Watch out for the aunt kids. When climbing back for another ride, you might want to consider who it is that is walking in front of you. This lady was having trouble keeping up the pace and apparently got stuck in the middle of the stairs. Then again, being stuck wasn't the issue here. It is becoming loose. Since the woman has taken her time climbing up, we see that the kids in the back are getting impatient. However, if they were to know what was about to happen, they would have a different kind of feeling. Namely, as they're pushing her up towards the slide, she slips up and almost like a bowling ball takes all the kids with her. Number 7, a deadly game of peekaboo. We aren't sure what this guy was thinking, but his thoughts definitely end up being tangled after a strong knee kick that he takes to the face. He must have been waiting for someone that he knows to go through and scare them, making it seem as if they were about to collide. Well, he definitely ends up being the surprised one. Number 8, a wrong moment to change your mind. The speed at which you're going during a water slide can be quite frightening, especially when you remember there's a ramp waiting to fling you across the sky into the pool below. This woman realized that this experience might be too overwhelming for her. The trouble is, she does so at the last moment of the ride. We see her essentially bend over the ramp and fall into the water after hitting her head on the edge. Number 9, never let go. The family in this video clearly enjoys their time together just moments before disaster strikes. From their faces, we can clearly pick up that it's only enjoyment that they expect, and as twists and turns begin, we start realizing that they may not be taking it too seriously with the grips. They were going down a water slide, and the man's sister relaxed for a brief moment, which was just enough for her to be thrown off the inflatable they were riding together. Since they can't stop the ride or the water flow, the only thing the man can do is jump out at the next turn and see to it that his sister is fine. She apparently fell on her back and had serious pain, but there were no severe injuries, and she was okay to go very soon after. Number 10. Never slow down on a water slide. Do not look back is what these girls must have been repeating to themselves as they slowed down in the middle of a water slide. Just a second later, another girl, plummeting towards them, teaches them that this is not a good idea. Even as they struggle to get out of this pinch, their fate is sealed by the slippery slide, and they don't even get the chance to brace for impact. Number 11. 2 guys soar through the sky. This water slide adds to the excitement by introducing a ramp that literally launches the inflatable raft in the air for the portion of the ride. The 2 dudes, who we see happily taking off from the top of the slide, probably thought that they were prepared enough to take it on. As the ride will show, this wasn't the case at all.
I believe I can fly.
Considering that the 2 dudes are quite huge, going down a slippery slope naturally made them pick up some speed. When such speed is put behind this ramp, we could expect them to fly quite high up. This, however, isn't the issue. Instead, it was the landing that they had to worry about. With some luck, however, this ends up being a funny. Number 12, you should always follow the rules. For safety reasons, some water slides don't allow for multiple people to run it at the same time. This group, however, thought that this could be a fun thing to do, so they went in together. Some of them were on a raft, and others just lay on their bellies and got into the action. We could say that they chose the perfect timing for a disaster, considering that at one point we see this circular structure has separated the groups, almost as if it was preparing them for a slam, and indeed, it delivers. The groups collide head-on, and almost comedically. Those that went on a belly ride slam one after another into the group that had the raft. Number 13. A guy hits his head on a water slide ride. This YouTuber clearly knows what he's doing since he manages not just to enjoy himself, but also to make a show out of it. He and his friend were having a grand time at this water park in North Korea when things took a wild turn, quite literally. As they entered a certain part of the ride, we could see that it was entirely covered in darkness. He must have lost his sense of space, and this makes him hit his head quite hard. As the two have exited the dark and were at the end of the ride, we see that their inflatable is flipped over and that the guy's friend is clearly worried for his well-being. Being a professional, this guy doesn't make an unnecessary fuss, and after receiving help from multiple professionals immediately, he keeps enjoying the rides. Number 14, a full-on belly flop. You know that moment when people forget a fundamental step of the experience? Well, this lady had bad timing and forgot that after her short flight, there was a pool waiting for her. Failing to adjust her body position during the flight, she greets the water's surface face first. Number 15, off the water slide and onto the mud. The girls enjoying this water slide found out that the curve that was up ahead was unbeatable. As soon as they hit it, instead of following the slide, they keep going straight over the mud into the pool. They certainly couldn't have predicted this outcome. Number 16, man down. These people were happy to have a grand adventure together, going down a water slide. The one in the back, who's about to realize it's best to use both hands when holding down instead of filming, starts out quite merry. However, as soon as they hit the first bump, this will all change. Not only does his phone fly away, probably getting destroyed, but the man follows behind as well. Number 17, getting stuck on a water slide. When one goes for a water slide ride, they probably expect more quick-paced movement than these folks were getting. As they got to this circular part of the ride, they somehow got stuck and had no means of freeing themselves from this spot. Now you may think that this experience is boring, and we also think it would be if there wasn't a risk of other people smashing right into those who can't move. As time goes by, we see that the boy in the back is pulling and pushing and doing his best to make the raft unstuck. But everything seems useless as the edge of the inflatable has gotten hooked on this separator. After about 5 minutes of these unsuccessful attempts at rocking the raft back to movement, the ride operators realized they would have to intervene, even though it was quite a dangerous thing to do. A man had to walk up the water slide and push them along. Number 18, a good boy sent flying. These people were having so much fun that they nearly killed the poor, curious dog that was jumping around. This good boy, at one point, stood in the wrong place, but just for a second before he was flung across the sky and luckily into the water. Number 19, water slide with no water. Now, we may not know what the thinking behind this move was, but it nearly rid these two guys of their lives. Namely, after climbing quite high up and splashing some water down the slide, they jump right in it. The unpredictable twist of this video is that the pool below them actually has no water in it. We shouldn't be surprised that this ended in quite a lot of pain for both. Well, at least this guy who they fly next to seems to be having fun. Number 20, a big guy makes some waves.
Aviéntate, gordo. Si no, para parar el video, porque... Vale, aviéntate. No mames, gordo.
We have all heard the saying, the harder they are, the faster they fall. In this case, things may be quite literal. As the ride is starting out, this dude seems quite confident and ready to enjoy the experience. His good spirit is easily transferred to everyone around him and those watching. But give it a second, and you will see why this guy is on our list. He is flung across the sky before he ends this adventure with a good splash. Number 21. Don't hold the line. These people were enjoying a sunny day, and we saw that even the young ones were involved in the fun. However, the guy watching the kid apparently forgot one of the most important rules when around water slides. This simple rule would be never to stand at the end of the slide if you're not prepared to take a full-body slam. The kid who we see here apparently has decided to teach them a lesson and goes for it with all his might. Number 22. A chain collision at a water park. At this water park in Australia, one of the most famous exhibitions is River Rapids Ride. The simple idea is that people sitting on this raft experience the adrenaline of sliding across uneasy waters. Well, this ride had to be closed down after an accident that occurred in 2016. What happened was that the ride was entirely demolished during the accident that began as one of these empty rafts got stuck at the place where the river adventure ends. Considering that it ended up blocking the exit, it was inevitable that other rafts would cause what we could describe as a chain collision. With each next raft that joined in this collision, one of those in the front got pushed under the water, eventually leading to a huge pile of rafts and people that required the help of multiple medical and firefighter crews. Number 24. A guy tries surfing on a water slide. It usually doesn't take long for a group of people to enjoy the water slides before someone gets an idea of how to use them more creatively. This guy thought it would be a good idea to go down the water slide while standing. We must admit, he looks cool for a brief moment before he slams his head at the bottom of the slide and gets tossed across the water. Number 25. A man who was having too much fun. After enough time spent playing around water slides, people often experience a sense of confidence. Even though it may feel like you're getting the hang of it, one shouldn't allow themselves to be overconfident unless you want this to happen to you. This guy seems to have forgotten that he needs to hold onto his mat strongly, or he could end up banging on the slide walls quite heavily. Luckily, the guy wasn't hurt, but his confidence definitely got readjusted. Number 26. Woman collides with a fence. This water slide was closed, and probably for a good reason, but this wasn't enough to stop the woman in this video from trying to go down it. She decided to give this a try, even though instead of a pool of water, the end line was covered with a metal fence. We could safely say that she regretted the decision to try this out. Number 27. A guy gets stuck on a water slide. Besides falling or scratching yourself, there is one very dangerous accident that can happen when you're enjoying water slides. It is being stuck in the middle of it, and it is exactly what this fellow experienced. After he has gotten in the chamber, from which he will be shot out, we see that the ride has started okay and everything is going well. He might have even enjoyed this ride for a brief moment before he got entirely stuck in the middle of the tube. Not only does this cause you to be shaken by the abrupt stopping, but it also puts you at risk of being kicked by the next person who goes in. Luckily, this guy seems to know what he is doing, considering that he quickly finds a way to jump through an opening on top of the tube. Number 28. A guy nearly drowns in a water slide pool. This guy was having a good laugh while going down this water slide. However, as soon as he hit the pool, his body was rotated in an unexpected way, and he ended up face down in the water for a brief moment. Considering that the impact was somewhat forceful, he got disoriented and briefly struggled for his breath. We can even see from all the bubbles that the camera has caught that this struggle was a serious one. Number 29. A dog happened to be in the wrong place. Dogs are definitely funny little explorers. The adventure of this one almost left him seriously injured. As it was walking across this slide, it stood there for a brief moment, which was just enough for a couple in a donut to slam right into the dog, causing it to go into a chaotic ride-along down the slippery slope. Luckily, the dog turns out to be quite sturdy, and it regains its footing even before reaching the end of the slide. Number 30, a woman gets seriously hurt on a water slide. This kamikaze slide is one of the most exciting experiences that a water park in Tenerife can offer. This must have been what piqued the interest of a young couple that was exploring the water park and decided to try it out. This eventually led to a serious injury to the woman. This steep water slide has a freefall drop at one point. Since this is the case, it is necessary to hold your arms and legs very close to your body and cross them if you don't want to be exposed to a rough landing. That was the end of our list, showing 30 dangerous water slide accidents. We hope these materials have been a source of fun, but they also may serve as a reminder that water slides aren't considered exciting for no reason, and that we should always follow the instructions that are put in place to keep us safe. Thank you for watching.